don't even know how the Full Metal Alchemist theme song goes, but welcome back to Niko United with your boy David,
And your boy Ivan.
and we're coming off another big victory against, and I think they're making history too. At Anfield, mm-mm-mm. We got a 2-1 victory over Liverpool away. I think that Amateur system is in. I what you thinking?
Yeah, you know, it was a massive win at Anfield. Like you said, I think it's been 9 or 10 years since we won a game there. So, like you said, we've made history, with that victory. And also, the narrative's starting to change a little bit, right? Everybody's been assuming that Amarin system doesn't work, this or that. But funny enough, once you get the results, somehow, narratives flip on their head completely. So, yeah, it's looking good for us now.
And guess what, guys? We actually got to watch the game together. Your boy Ivan came all the way down to Florida. He actually, he was our number one fan. We ended up gifting him his very first PC. Guys, if you guys ever start following the channel, you guys also might be a winner because Ivan's always a winner. Um, but yeah, we ended up watching the game live. So, it was just that great, just, oh my gosh, it's just that great feeling of just watching it, dude. It's just even like when you're just watching it on the big telly, just like the English people, watching it on the telly, dude. Uh, Shoot, I was eating my wings. Ivan didn't even let me, finish because it was just going back and forth. But yeah, it actually all started at the very beginning, right? I swear, I don't even think it was 2 minutes. And I picked up my wing and I was like, it just started. I hear, a pass from Diallo to Mbuemo, and guess what happened?
And we
We,
scored.
we scored right away. And the thing just it just started to shift, man. I saw it and I was like, well, this is the way to go. And I think it was nice to see, like I said, in the game. Of course, the one of the things was Lemon started in the back, so of course because of the games he's been playing, I mean, it was kind of like a big indicator saying like, hey, dude, he's the guy. He's gonna be the one. Um, and it just was crazy. Like a lot of like back and forth. I feel like the first half was you know, ours for sure. The second half kind of like was a little iffy, especially because Liverpool, they went hella attacking. You know what I mean? And the good thing was, I think I remember when we were watching the game, you were just like, dude, we just got to boot it out. We just got to get it out of our pitch and keep hold of this victory. Or I think even I was telling us like I would be happy with the 1-1, but shoot, this,
Yeah. I
but
mean,
the, dude.
but yeah, like you said, it really started from the very beginning, which is so crucial. You go to a stadium like Anfield with the history and our history, our negative history being playing there. Um, that an early goal is so important. Not only just to like, calm the nerves, but also to kind of just unsettle the fans, right? Because that's usually a big advantage for them, right? They have a pretty good atmosphere um, at Anfield. So getting an early goal, shutting the fans, making them nervy, making them sort of pressure their own players to kind of pick up the tempo and maybe, rush a little bit with their decision making was so huge. And, obviously also it just makes the game plan kind of shift a bit and allow us to not really have to be too open, because we have the lead. We were able to sit back a little more and kind of counter, which isn't really what we've been doing this year, which everybody was kind of trying to spin this narrative that that's what we've been doing all season, and this is the only way we win, which is completely false, right? Um, but in this game, it is what we did, and it made sense to, right? I mean, there was no reason to keep playing completely attacking football when you know you have a 1-0 lead at Anfield, which doesn't come by easily. But,
And I mean, I
but yeah,
think yeah, and I mean, give or take, I think I would say like on paper, Liverpool had like at least better like midfielders than ours, right? Which it's like that key component that was going to be in this game because possession was just it's usually what makes or break the game, right? And now, of course, no, like as you can tell, Liverpool probably had majority of the possession that game, but you gotta finish those chances. So I'm glad, like I said, Mbuemo took his chance early, and we got that 1-up lead because then it kind of helped boost that morale, keep that like okay, like we don't have to rush, we don't have to, kind of try to make these like sloppy plays, especially because we had like Shaw and the lot again on that left side, right? And
hmm
they're going up against a very attacking team, especially with their wingers. So it was a little nerve wracking for me, but at the end of the day, and I will tell you, I'm pretty sure all United fans were very shocked when they saw Maguire and the lit. You know, Maguire being the central guy because we all know he's not the quickest. But I think it was more of a Amarin. Hey, they got a lot of tall, build up guys. We're gonna need to get these aerial balls, which, as you saw, I'm just already spoilers ahead if you guys already don't know. We got that last minute crazy play, and I'm gonna tell you right now. I remember Ivan even looked at me, was like, "You want Bruno off?" And I mean, you gotta admit, like Bruno was tired that game, dude. It was. That's why I told you this midfield. Holy Springton, they were running, dude. They were just all up and down the pitch. And think about it. We're only playing one game a week. We're not playing these, Champions Leagues. We're not playing these extra cup games. So is that a plus? Yeah, but that's why I said we got to utilize this opportunity to kind of build that momentum. And I'm glad it's working, right? Because then, like you said, their narrative gets spun so quickly if we lose. Oh my God, you lost a team that and it's crazy how the backlash be. So I'm glad like it's working. I'm glad the players are looking like they're actually wanting to play. Of course, I when I looked at Ivan that day, there was some things that I thought was kind of weird, like especially the lob being a little sloppy, and he's supposed to be this like team lead for like the project, and I'm like, wow, this is the guy we got, because holy shit, did I think I've never seen the lob play. I don't even know what he was playing out there. I think he was just there. And now I am giving a lot of to him, but I just think it was because like every other player, dude, was phenomenal on that pitch. Like I think I
yep.
would say like for crying out loud, Casemiro looked good. I mean, other than the yellow
hmm
card, but he probably already knew he was getting out. And guess what? He got the yellow card because of the other player. So at the end of the day, I'm only being harsh because every other player, dude, was playing phenomenal, and you could tell because at the second half when the boys were just tired, they were tired, they were hustling.
Yeah. I mean, you hit it on the nail, right? Overall, you know, obviously we were a bit lucky, right? Like Liverpool had majority of possession and they had some, chances to really hit the post. But, um, overall, our team played well, right? From Maguire, even Shaw, even, the midfielders, like you said. The only negatives were obviously after 60 minutes, whatever, Casemiro and Bruno were just dead, right? They were kind of non-existent, and Casemiro got pulled off, obviously, and Bruno stayed on the pitch, got the assist, but other than that, he was not looking hot. um, but yeah, and then the last thing was, just the low kind of. just being low, right? Missing tackles, being out of position, kind of just making bad passes, kind of out of nowhere, right? Seemingly nowhere. But overall, like you said, our game plan was executed well, right? The weird decisions that Amarin made and his selection paid off. So there's not really much to say there or complain about towards him. Um, but yeah, it was a great game to watch, like you said, especially all the fans and rival fans. It was a good time.
Yep. And like I said, I'm pretty sure from us watching the game, right? They you could say they deserve they could have probably got should have got the tie or whatever, but dude, our boys fucking played their heart out on that game. Dude, they made sure, even our subs, they were friggin' hustling trying to keep that win. Uh for crying out loud, let me ask you, that our goalie that game. How many shots did they have on him that you were like, kind of mind boggled? Like, let's take it back to the Isak 1-on-1.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say they were crazy shots to be honest. I don't want to gas him up too much. Like, he's making these crazy free kick De Gea style saves. But yeah, I mean they were good. Like he stood up strong, right? He made his frame big, right? Which is basics, but it's very important in terms of keeping. But I mean, yeah, I mean he again, it's not like he did some crazy saves, but it's like there's almost no doubt with him, right? There's no fuss, right? Which is pretty nice. Like he's not super flamboyant. He's not doing like making crazy decisions. He's very simple, but like I feel like, coming off of Onana, that's kind of what we needed, right? We needed somebody who's just more, assured of themselves, keeps things simple, um, isn't trying too much. Personality wise, is also not really doing too much. It kind of brings a calmness, not only to the fans, but, obviously to, the team that's out there, right? Especially the defenders. And, not that I played at a high level or anything, but, I played a competitive level. As a center back. And yeah, when you have a underperforming keeper, man, you're almost second guessing your decisions. You're snatching, you're diving in because you don't even want them to shoot at your trash keeper. So having somebody you can trust, um, yeah, it definitely makes a huge difference for the team.
And it's a lot of reassurance because, I mean, like I told you always, and I mean, I always make the joke, right? I'm always afraid when a striker is gonna take a shot at a keeper because, or at least at one of ours. With this guy, when he makes like the saves and the balls are up in the air, he's at least like confident in his decision, right? He's got like knows when to come out. He's quick on his feet. Shoot, the one where I think like Salah like skyrocketed to the side of the net. It's because he pushed himself out because that was the only thing he could do to kind of make sure like he rushed the shot, not giving the player any chance to kind of get a form on because that's what you want to do, right? You want to get them to rush themselves so that they're caught off guard or aren't able to get a perfect shot. And I think that's what
Yep.
we've been missing in the back line. And you're right. The defenders kind of get like a little bit of an ease because I think a lot of times our defenders are like kind of forcing themselves to try to make like defense or slides or like boot it out or not sure if the keeper's gonna do because like you need that reassurance in the back line. So
Mm.
that was one of those like key little elements that I was like kind of like oh my god like a little relief because like I told you anytime I see them around the net I'm just like oh please please please. Now of course I like I said Liverpool, I mean they've had some crazy chances and you could say in that game that the goalpost was definitely the man of the match for the amount of freaking saves it went, uh, but I mean at the end of the day like I said, the defense line made sure to unbalance them to kind of get the make sure he didn't get like a proper shot or the whips in. And dude, Cody Guapo, he's just that guy for right now. But like I said,
Yeah.
kept them off. A look, he missed that header, so we kind of kept him off his game because he just wasn't having that flow. So that was also a little bit of reliever.
Yeah, like I said, we got lucky in some chances, but people keep trying to pull that out as like, oh, you guys didn't deserve the win, but you know, obviously the header that should have been a goal. But the two shots, they were from tough angles. Like it's not like he took a shot inside the six or was one on one or something. They were just phenomenal strikes that you don't expect somebody to pull off from those angles, you know? And people also, when they bring up that argument, they seem to forget that Bruno hit the post inside the 18, right? Um, that could have put us up 2-0 in the first half. So like, they're just grasping for straws, right? Um, again, we were lucky. I'm not gonna lie, but we kind of bought our own luck, right? We took our chances, um, and we defended well, right? They weren't really given too many one on ones. The only one on one was Isak, but even then, like you said, we kind of pushed him out wide a little bit and forced a bad, or not a bad, but a harder shot. Um, and then the header, and that was pretty much it.
Hmm.
Um, so
Um,
we definitely
yeah,
deserve that win.
and like I said, right? I think it's also just making sure, and like I think we talked about our other games, right? Is kind of making sure we finish up these chances because think about it, Bruno. I mean, I can tell you right now, anybody could talk all they want about how, oh, he's not good, he's not good enough to be up there. Just get rid of him, dude. I know he was exhausted, but think about it, man. This guy's getting older and older. He's running down the pitch, trying to catch these young, quick guys, covering the field. But still, on his dying legs, man
Hmm.
went and one timed, crossed the ball perfectly on a dime to our boy Harry Maguire. And I tell you, not pitch perfect. I like what type of player? Literally, with I don't know. I think it was like few minutes on the clock left. Just the cross was already. The corner was pretty bad. Uh, just goes. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna one time it. Players are rushing him. If he messes up, they're gonna counter us, type of thing. Nah, man. Cool collective freaking Capitano over there. It was like, blink. And guess what happened? Every Man U fan went crazy. Crazy for what happened. Now, even if Maguire missed, I forgot who was behind him, but there was one of another boys. I don't know if he would have made it, but there was still somebody there. But at the end of the day, like I
Yeah,
said,
there was hella players there. It was
yeah,
definitely going there. But
yeah. So,
yeah, that's one of those things where only Bruno not only has the ability to score that type of goal with us, but even has the audacity to even try that. Um, yeah. Again, that's why he's on the pitch, right? For those moments, right? Where he kind of creates something out of nothing, right? That ball was coming at him fast. He really should have took a touch. By the time he takes a touch, defense gets back or they push up and force Maguire and them, offsides or whatever. But because he took it first time and it was literally perfect pace and trajectory, we got that goal. So big up Bruno.
yeah, for sure.
But I mean, yeah, that pretty much sums up the game. Who was the man of match for you in
Dude,
that game?
so I think the keeper. So just retrospectively, for mom, I know you're not sponsoring me, but if you still want to sponsor me, I know we're no longer using your statistics, your probabilities. But if you do, I might bring it back for just you guys or FIFA if you want to sponsor me too, and I can pull up the FIFA card. So I think they gave it to the actual goalie for us, which you know, fair enough. Only let one goal in, but if it was me, if I was to tell you, of course, I think you just got to give it to Harry Maguire, right? Man made sure to hold himself disciplined, with everything going on, like him not being starting like all the games in and out.
Mhm.
It was one of those big games. Uh, Still kept that. I think he played the whole game. I don't even think he got subbed off. Uh, Dude, he handled the cross as well from Liverpool. Um, the only one that was questionable was like when Guapo was alone and he missed, but he got rid of some of those balls. He got the layup man the winner goal. Like I said, he knows his role, right? And I think he did that really well. I probably would have maybe gave it to Diallo at first, but then they subbed him off. So then, that kind of hindered maybe my perspective. But that's that's me, right? Harry Maguire, and I was going bananas when that happened. So I think that
Yeah,
just
I
did it.
could. Yeah, I could see that. I like that. McGuire, yeah, like you said, had a phenomenal game overall defensively, and obviously he's always there on set pieces and last minute winners and important moments to score headers. Right, he scored that Liam goal last year, so yeah, I could live with that. For me though, I would probably say Ahmad, just because obviously we weren't dominating possession that game. So we had to defend a lot. And like this guy really holds his own. He tracks players well. He presses um, from the front really well. And then obviously, anytime we're on a counter or just generally trying to break down another team, um, he's the guy. Like you give the ball out to him out wide, he's going to either force two players out to mark him, or they allow him to 1v1 somebody and he's gone. He's gone, he's slipping somebody in, he's putting a cross in, or even just beating his man, then cutting it back, and obviously that frees somebody else up. Um, so yeah, I'd say Ahmad had a brilliant game, um, offensively and defensively. So I would give it to him.
And I mean that's fair enough. Like I said, I mean he probably would have been it if he just played the whole game for me. I think just the sub off kind of like deducted a lot more. Because like you said, right, he was the one kind of creating stuff on the right side. Um, and then I think the only thing I could also just I want to know is, dude, I think Cunha, man, I just feel like he's got to understand, like, it's cool to see you take on players because, it creates the chances and stuff. But, like, maybe just, like, at least make some nicer decisions or, help free up, like, space because, like, don't get me wrong, he was doing work, on these Liverpool midfielders and defenders, like nobody's business, right? Uh, but it was just like sometimes I'm like, oh, perfect, Cunha, you got this. All right, now let's try to like make something happen, and then he'll take the shot, and I'm just like, it probably would be something special if he made it or, did something with it. But I think because he doesn't, it kind of like takes it back, which is what I'm telling you, right? Those like chances and stuff, we need to make sure we're finishing them. Like if we were up by like maybe like another goal, I wouldn't be like too nitpicky. But that's only my thing about that. And then I think it was kind of weird not having Sesko start, especially what was going on. But like I said, it all worked out right at the end. I think we're all happy it worked out. Like I said, manager knows me better. Ivan did. I seen him last when he was watching the game and gave a piece of paper to Amorin. So I don't know what Ivan actually gave him. So it might have been the stats. It might have been the tactics that got us the victory. So you know,
Nah, 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 nah. Don't give me all the credit. Yeah, I seen a lot of people giving Cunha man of the match. And like you said, he did his thing, right? We in terms of one of the main attributes that he offers, and we sort of bought him for is carrying the ball, right? Which helps us, transitioning and helps us, getting up the pitch or even just getting out of, our own box at times. He did that really well. But again, for me personally, he's still sort of snatching at shots. He's still kind of forcing things in the final third, um, to the point where, for me, it's hindering my view of his performances. So if he can clean that up a little bit, make a little bit better decisions in the final third, um, in my eyes, I could start giving him man of the match performances with all the other stuff that he, is doing regardless for us.
Fair enough.
But
So Ivan, so what's because we're about to bring it up to a wrap here. So real quick, what's your takeaways from this game, huh? What's your little what you got going through your little noggin here? What's your little takeaways?
can you hear me?
Yeah,
By the way, I'll edit this out, but um, for whatever reason, I keep hearing this chime sound, and then I can't hear you,
what time
and
sound?
then it'll chime again, and then your audio comes back. I have no idea what that is,
How long has it
but
been
it's
going on like that?
the whole time. So like I won't hear the first half of what you're saying, and then I'll catch the last half and just kind of assume everything else and jump in from there.
That's weird.
But I don't know what it is.
Well, I said, what are your five takeaways, Ivan?
Okay. So yeah, my five takeaways of the game. Nothing special, all pretty obvious. Number one, Amarin's system works, right? Everybody's now starting to say that it works.
I told you, man. I told you.
But it works, right? And you know, again, it's not really something we learned, but it's something everybody else learned after this game, right? That it works against the smaller teams and even more so against the bigger teams, right? Um, Second thing we learned is, Cunha's that guy, right? Mount has been phenomenal, and we started him on that left wing, but Cunha just has a little something, a little flair, a little spark in him that can get us out of tight situations, can progress the ball forward, and in the final third can kind of offer something that nobody else does, right? In terms of breaking the lines with a dribble, and his physicality. Third thing would be Maguire's kind of redemption story is was solidified in this game. You saw him at the end of the game, kind of shedding a tear. Um, and after that performance and the fans kind of appreciating it, it was kind of a full circle moment for him, which I really appreciate. I think since he's been here we haven't won at Anfield, so him getting the winner, having a great performance, and not just this game but the entire year having a good string of performances. Yeah, he's been a he's been a good servant to the club. um, Another thing we learned would be that again, Ahmad is continuing to be that guy for us in terms of creativity. Um, there was doubts in the beginning of the season because him and Mbuemo were kind of the same player, and kind of tried to occupy the same spaces, like I keep saying every week. But I think they're starting to click, and they have been for the last couple of weeks, like I've mentioned. Um, and with him finally getting an assist this season, I think this was kind of that turning point for him, right? Where it's not just progress, but it's now, results that he's showing. A fourth thing we learned would be that our defense is still shaky. Not really something we learned, but it's something we continue to learn and see in every game. But Bruno still has value playing in that center mid role, right? Like in those last minute moments, or even the whole first half. You know how aggressive he was defending, and kind of tracking back. But again, with all that being said, we still need to make signings soon in center mid in January, in the summer. That is still needed, and that's something like I said, every game kind of we learn just from watching. And then the final thing is, um, beyond just tactics from Amrin, but you know his the way he handles press conferences, the way he handles the media, the way he handles everything. He is a phenomenal manager, right? Which sounds super obvious, but just the way he manages the team selection, the tactics, the noise around the club, which is pretty much the hardest thing, right? Shutting down all these narratives and these accusations. He's the guy, bro. He's like a goddamn poet on that stand. I watch his videos. You hear all these ridiculous, redundant questions about goalkeeper tactics, this and that, rumors, and he just shuts it down so eloquently and brilliantly. And honestly, again, it's not really something you look for when you try to get a manager. You want somebody with results, with wins, with ideas on a footballing system, man management. But at Man United, it's a necessity to be able to deal with the media that way, the way he is. So he's been phenomenal with that. And yeah, that's five things we learned against Liverpool.
Then honestly, those were some phenomenal feedbacks. The one thing that also at the end of the game, after getting a big victory, we are going to Brighton. But on top of that, even though we are still ninth place, we are literally 2 points away from top four. 2 points, 3 points
That's
away
crazy.
from Man City. Of course, 6 points away from Arsenal, but we're almost at Champions League, and we've already went against our big players, big teams. Um, like I said, we're about to hit January now. Everyone thought Man United were washed over, not gonna be able to keep up. I'm glad to see proven wrong every day. Of course, like as a fan, it is a little annoying, frustrating, but that's just how the media is gonna hit us. And like you said, managers handling it well, the players are disciplined. Those are the stuff that's gonna keep us afloat. Because yeah, dude, the media hits hard regardless. So it's especially because like, dude, when one of our outside players are doing phenomenal, they're like, "Oh, Man United is the problem." And look, for me, I'm all well for those players doing well. You know what I mean? Cause they're young. Some of them are young. I want them to do good. That's just football, right? Things happen. They don't work. It doesn't work. If they come back and they work, pitch perfect. Right now, the system's working, flow's going, fantastic way. I think the good thing is January's coming up, so the transfer window will open up. I'm hoping we'll make a little bit more signings, and by more I just mean by like the midfield. We might not be able to splash as much because value, but I think because we're in a good spot, we might have that little bit of extra that they'll give, kind of like a little incentive to kind of push though. Because honestly, yeah, I would love to get Europe football again, man. That's just, oh, I miss that. I miss seeing that stuff. Kind of getting challenging stuff for that. So great overall victory for the boys. I think it was a much good. Like I said, we broke a record or broke history basically because we hadn't won an Anfield for such a long time. Maguire, like I said, he had his little Cinderella story. Always just being that squad player. We're getting that little redemption. Ivan giving out those feedback tactics. He's never gonna steer us wrong. Always giving up that 100 every time. So I appreciate everyone again. for watching. Like I said, Ivan was gifted a PC, so hopefully I'll get him working 24/7.
Whoa, whoa,
Yeah,
whoa!
he'll
Open
be
up a
bringing.
slave shop.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
He'll be giving out 100% every time. If you guys want to see any other content, like I said, me and Ivan are trying to look into getting an anime slash video game podcast going. It probably
Hmm.
won't be under the same channel. It'll probably be like a separate channel just for that solely because we kind of want to just focus on United on this page. Please follow the TikTok. If you're loving the content, hit that subscribe button, like, follow, share. We're about to hit 10 subscribers. I know that's a small landmark, but we're making our way. Ivan said he'll be going throwing big money towards me
Yes,
if we get
sir.
that. Yeah, if we get that extra one. I think we're at 9. So one more. If you just get your friends, get your family, get your dog, make a channel for them, and then hit that, we'll be good to go. But on all serious note, I appreciate everyone watching. Like I said, hit the comments if you want to, if you got any feedback or if you want to hear anything else. I know this one was a little bit shorter. We kind of wanted to keep it kind of close together. Kind of try something new. We're still kind of working out the kinks. But yeah, other than that,
Yes, sir.
I appreciate everyone again for stopping by, watching Niko United. Again, this has been your boy David,
And your boy Ivan.
and we're signing off.